Good morning, good morning. We've got a bit of a longer passage today. We're reading Mark 3 verses 20 to 35. So it's a bit of a long passage today. Bear with me because I'm using a different Bible today. I think I've left mine in the car yesterday, my usual one. So just bear with me. Print's a bit smaller on this one, so I might squint. So, one time Jesus entered a house and the crowds began to gather again. Soon he and his disciples couldn't even find time to eat. When his family heard what was happening, they tried to take him away. He's out of his mind, they said. But the teachers of religious law who had arrived from Jerusalem said, he's possessed by Satan, the prince of demons. That's where he gets the power to cast out demons. Jesus called them over and responded with an illustration. How can Satan cast out Satan, he asked. A kingdom divided by civil war will collapse. Similarly, a family splintered by feuding will fall apart. And if Satan is divided and fights against himself, how can he stand? He would never survive. Let me illustrate this further. Who is powerful enough to enter the house of a strong man like Satan and plunder his goods? Only someone even stronger. Someone who could tie him up and then plunder his house. I tell you the truth, all sin and blasphemy can be forgiven. But anyone who blasphemes the Holy Spirit will never be forgiven. It is a sin with eternal consequences. He told them this because they were saying he's possessed by an evil spirit. Then Jesus' mother and brothers came to see him. They stood outside and sent word for him to come out and talk with them. There was a crowd sitting around Jesus, and someone said, your mother and your brothers are outside asking for you. Jesus replied, who is my mother? Who are my brothers? Then he looked at those around him and said, look, these are my mother and brothers. Anyone who does God's will is my brother and sister and mother. So we've talked about how the religious leaders were trying to plot against Jesus already. We've just finished chapter 3 now of Mark's Gospel, and we've seen how they're already trying to plot against Jesus. They're trying to catch him out by doing things on the Sabbath and breaking Jewish law, and they're already trying to gather evidence. And again, there's a big crowd around Jesus. It says that him and the disciples couldn't even find time to eat because there were so many people around him. I'm guessing that they wanted to hear him speak. They wanted to be healed because, I mean, who wouldn't? You know, he was healing these people. He was teaching. He was a fantastic teacher. I mean, you know, who wouldn't want to go and see him? But now they're saying to people, you know, he's the devil. He's possessed by Satan himself. And that's where he gets his power to cast out demons. Remember, he cast out demons earlier on in Mark's Gospel. And they're saying that this is why, that he is possessed by Satan. And even Jesus' family, his mother and his brothers turn up. And they say, you know, he's out of his mind, and they've actually turned up to Capernaum, where they are now, to take him home to Nazareth because he's causing a scene, I suppose, you know, and perhaps bring in, I don't know, a bit of shame to the family name or something, you know. But they were going to bring him home, you know, to get him away from this and to tell him, you know, start behaving a bit better, maybe. You know, and they said, even his family said, he's out of his mind. There's something wrong with him. And Jesus says, hang on a minute. If I was possessed by Satan, why would I be casting out demons? It makes no sense. And he said, you know, a kingdom that's divided by civil war will collapse. So, you know, Satan wouldn't be coming to cast out demons, because where would that get him? You know, his kingdom would collapse. And he says a family splintered by feuding will fall apart. You know, fighting against each other is not going to end well. It's not going to end in victory, and definitely not going to end in a kingdom that is united. And Jesus said, you know, so there's no way that I am possessed by Satan, because why would I be doing all these things? You know, and people said to him, but Jesus, your mother's outside, you know, and you know, your family is so important. He said, your family's outside. And Jesus said, well, who are my family? Who's my mother? Who's my brother? And he said, anyone who does God's will is my brother and my sister and my mother. And that's him saying that we can all be part of God's family. And I think that's amazing. You know, it doesn't matter who I am or what I've done, but Jesus have said that I can be part of his family. I can be his sister, and you can be his brothers and his sisters, and we can be all part of his family. And he says it's, you know, it's that easy, that we can be, anyone who does God's will can be part of his family. And I just want to leave you with that just comforting thought that we can all be part of Jesus's family. We'll see you tomorrow as we start chapter 4. Bye.